I wish things were different.
Ellie!
But they ain't.
Please stop! I'm leaving tomorrow.
To do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
So they just get to get away with this?
How'd you find us?
You can't stop this.
I want what you want. But not at any cost. I really hope you make it.
I have to finish it.
There's a cost.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to our Last of Us Part 2 review. In this video, we're gonna do it a little bit different. So we're gonna talk about the game, and we're also gonna give our separate thoughts because we see the game a little differently. But yeah, we're gonna see if you guys agree or disagree. Let us know in the comments after we talk about it, and we'll see how we go, and let us know, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But with Last of Us Part 2, I feel like overall, let me give my overall opinion on it. I feel like it's a fantastic game, gameplay wise, and beautifully made. Visuals, I feel like it was incredible. If you look at from the moment that you started the game till you finish it, definitely all the sceneries that you see throughout the game, the enemies, the actual characters that you play, and everything that you get to do when it comes to, let's say, picking up the weapons or actually crafting materials or anything like that. I feel like it was just incredible. It was beautifully made, and the mechanics were incredible.
Yeah. Oh, so my bad. Honestly, I thought you were gonna continue with that one.
No.
Personally, I feel like as a whole, yeah, as a game itself, it's fantastic. I also feel like that's probably the closest to a next gen game that we have right now, currently on the market.
Yeah.
The animations are crazy because they all have their own pretty much different instances of it. So you could do the same motion in different angles and different directions, and they all do something different. For an example, like when you get shot and you land on your back on the ground, you can continue to crawl backwards while you're reloading.
Amazing.
Or you can just turn around and do some other stuff with that. Each melee interaction is also different. So it's just like they put so much time and effort to making every little action that you probably will never see in the game pretty much there. It's definitely one of the, what's the word for it? Most creative for like for character movement that I've seen. It's definitely the most fluid, and the fact that you could do so much and still learn. Like, I didn't realize that you could slide until the end of the game.
I know. Yeah.
I think like the last hour or two.
It took me a while.
Which is crazy because if I knew that ahead of time, I probably would have did that a lot more often.
Yeah. Made it differently too.
Definitely.
The game style.
Yeah, it would have been like more action paced, because I mean, I've seen a lot of people. There's actually a guy on Twitter that goes by Sunhai Legend, and he does GIFs of like different games, and he does them of The Last of Us, and he basically just does different segments, but with like all the animations that you can imaginably do, and it makes the game look cooler than it actually does look. So it's definitely impressive, and I mean, it just goes on.
Yeah, no, I feel like when they get to that part, just know that there's gonna be a lot of spoilers.
This is a spoiler-ridden video. So.
Definitely. But when they got to that part, that it was kind of like open world type deal, where you get to actually go to different buildings before you actually get to the mission and whatnot, with Ellie and the other girl, forgot the name, but whatever.
Was it Dina?
Dina, there you go.
Yeah.
So when you go with them too, I feel like that was really great. You got the part of open world. You got to explore without actually going linear story. So that was pretty cool. I feel like they really opened up a little bit more on The Last of Us in that part. And I would say, I mean, a lot of the stuff that they did throughout the story were very genius in a way on how they place certain enemies in certain areas. I'll tell you right now, I jumped in a bunch of parts because enemies, like I said, enemy placement, I feel like it was genius. They would put enemies where you would not think an enemy would be, but then you go through a door and everything and they just jump out at you. It was crazy.
I was guessing a lot of times that I was like, I'm gonna get jumped right here, and I didn't get jumped, and then later on I did get jumped. They're really good at pacing that, so that's good.
Those little things is what makes the game great for me. So I feel like it was a really good overall experience throughout the game. But now let's get into the hard part. Let's get into the big topic.
The story.
Let's get into the story of The Last of Us Part 2. So I was not very happy personally. Joel, as we all know, was a really big beloved character, and I don't have a problem with what happened to Joel in the game. I just have a problem with how they did it and how early they did it. So that's pretty much how I feel about the whole situation with Abby and Ellie and whatnot. So here's my thoughts on it. I feel the game itself was made incredible. Story-wise, I feel like they just needed to rearrange a lot of the stuff that happened in the game. So how I see the game, how it would have made it a little bit better for me, it's for those of you who have played already, if you would start playing as Abby, from the beginning of the game, you start playing as her without you knowing who she is, so it kind of keeps the gamer confused and engaged. So if you do, let's say for example, start from Seattle day 1 as Abby, and then you go through all the days as her without mentioning Ellie or anything like that. You're just going through her missions, and then when you get to the final part of Abby's playthrough, that's in the theater with Ellie, and you aim at her and says you should have stayed, or you should have stayed home, or something like that. That should have been a cutoff for me, and they should have gone to Ellie's side of the story. So that way you're like, oh crap, what happened? You're guessing about what went through the story. So you're playing now as Ellie, and then as you play through Ellie, you go through all the flashbacks that she had through the game, because she had a lot, and they were incredible too. But you go through all the flashbacks up until you get to that final part in Seattle, and then you see that flashback of what happened to Joel. I feel like that would have been a mind blow, because it would have been like, damn, I was playing as her this whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It would have been like, damn, I should have done this differently, or I should have done that differently, and then you're going for revenge. And I understand what the whole purpose of the game was, is like, what revenge can cost a person. It could pretty much cost you everything, cost you your life, or everything that you've built in your life, just by going for revenge. But I feel like it just needed to be rearranged, in my opinion. So I feel like that's how I feel about it. Let me know what you guys think. Let's see what Nick thinks about it.
I'm 50-50, man. I don't know. I feel like definitely the intro, like the way that they portrayed everything, was a little off-putting, because I did play the game on launch day, of course. So right. I played through that. I played through the first 4 hours on launch day, and it was definitely more of a shock, because it was so immediate, and it just happens in such an instant. And then you go back into playing Ellie, like, it is what it is. So I think for the rest of Ellie's playthrough, I didn't enjoy it, which I don't like saying that.
It's because you have that in your head. What happened?
Yeah, it's just, I feel like maybe that was the problem, was from that point on, it wasn't the same. But as soon as I got to playing Abby, that's my favorite part of the game, which is crazy. Probably because my preference in video games is her playstyle, which is most likely the case. I like the fact that it's like close quarters combat, and you get to like do different things, and you have a ton of different weapons, and you have like I think it's like 1 or 2 different types of shotguns. It's just, I guess her side of the story was more intriguing, because for some reason I felt like playing her story kind of reminded me more of like The Last of Us 1 even, or part 1, I guess, just because of the fact that you have Lev and honestly I forgot the other girl's name, but you have those two to pretty much tag along with you for that side of the game. Yeah. And you have this completely different part of this game that doesn't have anything to do with Ellie until like this random little segment that you just happen to bump into her again, and then everything kind of intertwines once again. Yeah. I'd definitely say that's like my general opinion on that part. But I still feel like everything, man, it's hard. I feel like everything did come together well. I don't know. I know a lot of people do feel the same way as you do. So
I mean, me personally, I feel the opposite of you. I feel like playing as Abby was the worst, just because I also get very invested in the characters. And what happened to Joel after playing The Last of Us 1, what happened to Joel in The Last of Us Part 2 so soon, and then they get you to play as the antagonist. That's what really, killed me for the whole story, because I don't want to really play as the antagonist knowing what happened, and you play a big chunk of the story as her.
Yeah, it's like 13 hours.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So it's a big part of the whole game, but it is what it is. I feel like the game overall just needed, personally, I feel like it needed some rearranging in the story. I felt that it had potential, or let's say it has potential for the game of the year and everything, even though you have big games coming out later in the year to go against The Last of Us Part 2, but it's one of those things that a lot of the audience is not happy, and you guys can see it when you look at reviews online, Metacritic, a bunch of like the audience review, I should say. They're not so great out there.
Yeah, user input is very 50-50, but I will say as like time has gone on, even though the game's only been out for 2 weeks or something like that, it's starting to become a little bit more positive, because Naughty Dog's not really hammering down on like the fact that you can't show the second half of the game anymore. That's like everyone's doing that at this point. So the game's kind of being taken a little less angrily, and a lot of the people, which is what I think this is the one thing that I appreciate from Steam that I feel like other systems should do. I know PlayStation Network does this obviously because you need a PlayStation for it, but when you submit a review on PlayStation, you have to play the game obviously, and then pretty much every review there is 4 or 5. So it shows you that the people that are buying the game are enjoying it, are actually enjoying it, because they're going out of their way to leave feedback, because they don't ask you for that. It's not like you're playing a PC game. And then on Steam or whatever, I mean, the game's not really on Steam first of all, but people are doing like review bombs wherever they can. Metacritic is a big one where they're just like, a lot of people aren't even buying it. They're just like, my character died, and I don't like it.
They're not even playing it. But it's one of those things that me personally, I played The Last of Us Part 1, and it's one of my all-time favorite games. I would say it's my second favorite game next to Resident Evil. But this one just lacked a little bit of that story that I felt Last of Us 1 gave us, because that opening of The Last of Us Part 1, there hasn't been a game that has beaten that. There's no game that can beat that opening of The Last of Us Part 1. And then not only that, but you losing your daughter as Joel, and then meeting Ellie, going throughout the whole game with Ellie, making you feel like she's your daughter and you have to protect her through everything, up until the end of the game where you steal her from the hospital where they were gonna make a cure for the whole thing, and you were like, no, because this cure will kill her. Like, it's kind of crazy. So, me personally, I feel like it just didn't deliver as much as The Last of Us Part 1. So, overall, I mean, I guess we'll give our scores personally. We usually are giving our scores out of 10. So, me personally, my score for The Last of Us Part 2 would be a 6 out of 10.
I give it an 8. I give it an 8 because... So I feel like the way I think about it is like when a game, if I'm thinking about like actually giving a game what I feel like my opinion is, gameplay and of course story take like a huge part of it, and I do feel like the gameplay is such a huge factor, and they nailed that. You can't say that they not nailed that. Every aspect of what they created is
gameplay
is like the best.
It's flawless.
It's the best Naughty Dog's ever created. It's the best that probably a third person like action game plays in terms of what it does. It's rare that I felt something like that as smooth as it is, and again, it gives you that many options.
It plays incredible.
Yeah.
One thing that I do want to mention is that ending of The Last of Us Part 2. I feel so there's mixed feelings about the ending. I will say that I feel incomplete about how it ended. I feel like something bigger should have happened. Like, I don't know, maybe a death of either Ellie or Abby, even though we did get Joel's in the beginning.
Yeah.
But Abby should have died, in my opinion. But I mean, it's a give and take. That the ending leaves it open for Last of Us Part 3. We'll see what happens. Naughty Dog, please deliver for the next one. Please look into the people that actually played it and what they're saying. So the third one, if there's gonna be a third one, hopefully it's gonna be much better than the storyline that was delivered. Gameplay, I'm not worried about because I know Naughty Dog is gonna deliver on that.
Yeah, no, that's every time I kept playing, every time I kept hopping into the game, which took me a while because of how I felt with it. I was like just impressed every single time. Like I think the most signature part of the game, the entire game to me, is when you go back to, I guess the town as Abby.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you have to go downstairs to go get the medicine and stuff like that. And that whole segment where you're going throughout pretty much what they call like ground zero, and then you go against that big creature.
Yeah.
To me, that's the best part of the game. That's the part that actually scared me, and that's the part where I felt like anything I did, I had to be cautious.
Yeah.
That's like the standout of the entire game to me.
It was really that part was one of the best parts in my opinion. Definitely. Yeah. I feel like that part in California afterwards, that ending was kind of strange. I feel like so much time passed by afterwards, and then you go as Ellie to go get revenge, pretty much.
I thought she was dreaming.
I feel, to be honest with you, I felt the same way.
I thought she was dreaming.
I felt like that wasn't happening. I felt like that was like after she got beat up and everything, and what happened to Dina. I feel like that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
I feel like that is what could have been. You know what I'm saying? But no, it actually was going on and everything. But it is what it is. Like I said, it is a 6 from me. But hey, we'll see what's next for Naughty Dog.
I mean, man, I don't know. I'm very hopeful. I'm for I guess what they're gonna do. I will say for a fact that the game is very controversial, and it does things that I can't think another game has done.
No, there's no.
There's no game that I can think of that you play more than half of the game as the antagonist, and it's more than the original character itself. Yep. So it gives you more of a view. And I will say that I started to like some of the antagonist characters as the game went on. I was like, oh, these people are actually not that they're not that terrible from their own life. But then once you intertwine them with Ellie and her life,
with Ellie's life,
it becomes a whole other game.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
All right.
It's so difficult. Yeah. But yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I know. But that makes the end of the review.
Yeah.
Tell us what you guys think. Just put it in the comments. If you want to message us through our social media, make sure to drop a comment, drop a message through that, and let us know what you guys think.
Yep. And if you have any questions, or if you want to check out for any news or anything like that, or more thoughts for upcoming games, any of the events, you have us on Instagram at Pass the Joystick, and you have us on Twitter at Joystick Pass. But until then, we'll see you guys next time, and pass the joystick.
All right. See ya.